continues with Sean Burke and Frank Oddie, live and local radio from the center of New England, the center of the dial, and the center of information radio, Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
We're back here Sunday morning in the heart of New England at the WCRN. We're looking for a few callers if anyone's interested in participating in this talk piece that we're talking about, right, which is parenting. And please call in at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. We would love to hear from you, but we'll also say I'm here with Frank, my co-host, and with our special co-host, Lorelei. And we're discussing, Dad or Day, what Dad or Day does. Maybe we should talk about an event or two just to give a flavor to the listeners what we do.
A number of years ago, thank you very much, Sean. A number of years ago in the fatherhood program, which has been going on in my life for about 28 years now, some of the fathers came up with, can we do something with our children and that'll be a fun thing? And so one of the fathers says, you know what? We live right close to the Merrimack River. And I says, you know what? There's a boating program there. Let's go down and ask them if we could participate with the boating program. And sure enough, when we did ask them, they said, why don't you pick a Sunday and we'll go from 1 p.m. till 5, and it'll be just open for fathers who want to bring their children.
I think I've always thought it's a phenomenal idea. Anything that you can do with your children is great. All these events are for free. So we really don't want that financial pressure on individuals to be able to spend time with their family, which oftentimes can be a barrier, or it's at least highly talked about barrier at fatherhood.
And one of the first things we do is we make sure that we greet each family that comes in and ask them, if you want to be on our mailing list, and so you can get more information. And of course they say yes. And then we say to the children, would you like to take your dad and your mom, if she's there, or the grandmother or the uncles or aunts, and go on a boat? And the children go, yeah, how do we do that? I point to where there is the boating program leaders and the young teenagers who run the program, and the child goes up and asks them to get on a boat. We start right away by saying to the children, ask your parents if they want to be part of this with you. There's 40 different boats. Pick one.
There is a lot of boats. And one of the great things about this is many parents, one thing that we've realized with Dad or Day, from taking fathers with their kids to the Patriots game to smooth sailing that we're talking about now, many of the fathers, especially ones with a little less resources, they have not done those things. They've not had the opportunity to be on a boat. While you're there, you could be on a pontoon boat, you could be on a canoe, you could be on a kayak, a potential sailboat, right? All of those things are accessible there. But these are the things that we're trying to introduce and utilize community partners to ensure that people, one, know that these things are available to them, and two, how to do it.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we do is we give away at the end of the day a family package. And usually it's about 10 or 15 of those in which they can go as a family for the rest of the summer on the boats, learn how to swim, learn how to sail. And during the afternoon, there's a pontoon boat. And the pontoon boat holds about 12 people at a time. Families get on that and go about a quarter of a mile up the river and see a part of the Merrimack River that they're not used to. Come back, and it's about almost a half-hour ride, and it's just a fun experience.
It really is a fun experience. And Lorelei, let's talk boating for 2 seconds, right? Because we really should, Frank and myself put these events together, and when you think of boating, right, what's the fun things that you've done with boating, right? You've done stuff with your grandfather, right, on his boat. He has a little pontoon boat. and we've had fun going up and down the Charles, right? Which is very similar to this. And we've done some boating ourselves, right?
Yes, we have a kayak and we have a canoe. And yeah, those are really fun. We go, I don't know what the place is called. But
It's on the Merrimack.
it's on the Merrimack, yeah.
Oh, well, we also go to Harold Parker
Yeah.
State Forest. And I'm going to tell you, these state forests are unbelievable.
Mhm.
You can hike in them. You can canoe,
Yeah.
right? And they have certain places really set up. It does not cost money to go hiking, right? You can just
Mhm.
drive your kid over
Yeah.
there and then, go for a hike, which is kind of nice. And then, but, if you do have a canoe, you have access to a kayak. It would be, some of these ponds are really nice.
It's nice to like get outside and do stuff outside.
And we found Burke Island there.
Yep.
We did do that.
Well, wait a minute. Burke Island?
Yeah.
I never heard of that. Could you explain that to me and our listeners?
Well, Lorelei and myself were out canoeing, and we found this island, and we decided to name it after ourselves, of course.
Now, if I look at a map of the area, would you be listed on that map?
If we had the map before you had it.
100%.
Funny you should mention all that, Lorelei. My daughter found that place for us to take our dog. Our first dog was Foster, and he would go on the walks with her. And one of the things, he was a Labradoodle. As soon as he sees water, he jumps right in and just starts swimming. And we've had many afternoons with the dog taking us for a walk in that same area, but never at Burke Island. So,
Well, you just haven't had your chance, Frank. We're going to get you over there.
Yep.
all right.
And they have a place where you could probably have a campfire there. And I think we had said on Friday we were going to invite Conrad to go there to golf off of it.
Yeah, I already have the whole layout set up for to redesign the island. So
I think it's a great idea. You actually bring your canoe up there and just go right up on the shore. So it's perfect. And there's other places like the Doyle Links in Andover, which is a trail system, and it goes all over Andover. And many towns have these places where you can go for a hike, and it's pretty adventurous.
I'm not sure where it is, but a friend of mine named Bill had got it from the state. All of the places you can go for walks in Massachusetts, and him and his wife every year would go to a new one. So I suggest this to the fathers that are listening: hiking with your child is great. You bring a lunch, you go for as far as they want to go, turn around and come back. But it's just great, very quiet. Great place to have a conversation with your child, and for a child to have conversation with their dad or mom.
It really is perfect. And Lorelei, what do you think kids at 15 years old want to do with their parents?
I think they want to do things that they're also interested in, not just things that the parents interested in.
Oh,
yeah.
well, that hurts.
Mhm.
That hurts. So, what are you trying to say about hockey?
Well, I've never played.
I actually said to my
Yeah.
wife, every kid in our house can do anything they want and skate.
Yeah,
So-
I have heard that a few times.
Yes.
Um,
Now they're not on the
Few
Worcester.
100 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard it. So we had a rink out in our yard. And
Oh,
Lorelei,
I do remember that.
yeah, Lorelei was loved to go out there
Well,
and skate.
because I used to figure skate.
Yes. Is
At
that what you
Phillips
called it?
Academy.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah. And then kind of dropped that.
Kinda.
And Lorelei, you remind me of what our family used to do on Sundays. We would go to the 10 o'clock mass. As soon as the mass was over, we would visit our grandparents, which is halfway between the church and our house. Then we come and eat a dinner together. And in the afternoon, all 5 of us would go roller skating. And it was the Hi-Hat was the name of it. And we would skate there, and we learned how to skate. That helped us very much when we wanted to play hockey and ice skate. If you can roller skate, it really helps you to understand how to do ice hockey. But
Wait a second. A great question here is, Frank, did you ever play hockey?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I hate to say this in front of our audience, but I was a goalie,
Yeah.
and I was a goalie that probably they used to call me red light because whenever I would go to the hockey rink, I would get a sunburn on the back of my head from the red light going on so often. But you know what? I still had a lot of fun.
And you were still invited back.
I was invited back. Goalies in
Oh,
my
by the opposing team.
right. In my day, nobody had the equipment to be a goalie, but I did. I made my own, and I progressed and got more equipment.
You
each year.
sent Jerry Chivas his mask.
Well, I was the first one to put a black mark on it on the right cheek, but that's another story. You gotta like the game, and I still watch it all the time. And to see children get into hockey or any sport is so great. They have all this time, and they can do things that they like.
So we'd like to take a minute to discuss our sponsor, Courtside Legal Investigators, who enjoys hockey as well, Frank. But when you think about Courtside Legal Investigators, they're go and get the truth right through their investigative department. And then they have a social work department to humanize that situation. And based on that, they come up with a formula that's customized around the individual. This is if you want to be a parent and you're over at probate court and you want to be able to articulate your position, they do that. They also do criminal stuff when, instead of going to jail, maybe they can give you a path so that you can work on yourself and not be in trouble. So give them a call at 781-932-3800.
Thank you all for listening. We'll be right back.
More travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Are you tired of the Orwellian speech, the hypocrisy rampant throughout government and within the Beltway? I'm reminding you talk radio is the immune system to the partisan bias, political rhetoric attacking us on a daily basis. Get inoculated. Tune in to Joe Mangiacotti on WCRN 830 AM, where common sense meets common ground. Joe is the conservative voice with a twist, blending a constitutionalist respect for our founding principles with a libertarian's drive for freedom. He's got a unique style that's half constitutionalist, half common sense, and all about empowering you. Just listen to his callers.
Joe, I have to tell you first, I've listened to you a couple of times on your own show here, and I have to tell you, I enjoy listening to you. You have some really good, intelligent, cogent thoughts rather than just the constant monologue of conservative talk that sometimes we get wound up in.
Joe's even-tempered, intelligent approach cuts through the clutter and dives into the issues that matter to you. Join Joe Mangiacotti for Common Sense Conversation for the Common Sense Citizen and discover how logic, truth, and a calm voice can change minds, even those who might disagree at first. It's not just talk, it's a movement. Catch Joe Mangiacotti, WCRN 830 AM.
Now, Datter Radio continues with Sean Burke and Frank Oddie, live and local radio from the center of New England, the center of the dial, and the center of information radio, Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
So here we are, Sunday morning, and I'm here with my friend and co-host, Frank Oddie, and our special co-host, Lorelei. and we're discussing, the 5 principles, who Data Day is, what our identity is as a group, right? And one of the things that we've learned at Data Day with a lot of the research that we've done is that listening to your kids, you can actually learn a lot. And, sometimes I joke about, kids are training their parents. Right, Lorelai?
Yep.
Just a yep, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, there's some deniability there, I think. So when you're thinking about all of these things and you're spending time with your father, Lorelai, what are you thinking? Like, what music should be played? How you think that?
I think he just learns a lot from pop culture, honestly.
Oh, that's good.
He just doesn't know anything.
How about you, Frank? You feel like you learn a lot from pop culture?
Well, I learned more from the Beatles than you learned from pop culture, Lorelei. But we had a thing when I was a young guy, about your age, as a matter of fact. CYO used to have a dance in our church every Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. They had them when I was there, too. And they had basketball.
Yeah.
Frank was actually a coach for CYO.
That's right. For a while. Yeah. Yeah. But the dancing was something that my parents did. They went ballroom dancing when they were younger. And I said to myself, if you're listening to the Beach Boys, you don't go to a ballroom for that. You go on the floor and you show them how to shake, baby, and how to dance. And that's the kind of stuff that we did a lot of. And my parents said, I hope you get over this. And thank you, God, I never did. So music is very important in the life of every family. Is that what you were trying to say, Lorelei?
Yeah, I think it's also something like you can start a conversation about it, and I think that's a really good way to start a conversation.
It is a great way to start a conversation. And it usually has to do with the 28th day of June.
28th day of
28th
June.
Day of June.
Does anybody know where that comes from?
Not yet.
Anyone?
Anyone? Going once, going twice. Megan Maroney,
Yeah.
28th day of June.
Yeah.
Lorelei has taught me a lot, actually, as it turns out.
Yeah. That is actually his favorite song by Megan Maroney.
It is.
I'm pretty sure right now.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I feel like I heard when you were talking about this, Frank, is that when you're talking about your parents to yourself, right? And then you passed your love of music down with your kids. And then, even Lorelei talks about music. Every generation, music has been a part of it, at least in America, and I'm sure all over the world. It's a very interesting thing to be able to, as Lorelei said, open up the conversation. So when we think about being a parent, being a dad, trying to figure out, how to communicate, how to get into those conversations with our kids, we really should consider music as an option to be able to say, this is my way of having a conversation and being able to maybe listen to music together. And then how is that interpreted in your own life, right? Which is a little different for all three of us on how we may interpret that. And that's a really big piece of the puzzle of being a successful parent.
And each culture, each generation has music attached to it. I know when I lived in Lawrence for about 28 years, the people that I met were from Spanish backgrounds, and they were from different islands, but the music that they had brought them together. And what I learned a lot from talking to many, many people from Puerto Rico or other areas is that music brings them together. And unfortunately, they like to have their music in their cars, and sometimes it's a little louder than it should be. But music is very important to a lot of families. And if you think of any kind of get together, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, first communion, confirmation, music is involved. and that's a binding kind of a thing. And I think to pass that on from one generation to another is really healthy.
It really is. And when you look at all the things that you may be able to do with your kids, music is definitely up there. One, because you can kind of listen to it for free. The other piece is, yeah, maybe if you have extra money, you can go to a concert, right? But for the most part, you don't have to go to a concert to have a good relationship with your child and utilize music as one of those things to be able to.
I think music is also just like, it's the one thing, and then it branches off into like, oh, you can talk about this song or this about this topic, and it can go into a whole conversation, and then that can make your relationship with your kids stronger.
I agree, Lorelai. And one of the things is like country music, for example, right? That gives the whole song, right? And tells the story about, any direction that they want to go. And you can follow that and you can visualize it. And that's why country music has really had a huge impact all over the country.
What I used to do when I was younger, my dad and I, we used to listen to a lot of Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Johnny Cash.
And Kenny Rogers.
Well, Johnny Cash especially. And once I built up my CD collection, yes, I'm old enough with CDs, that I copied the number of Johnny Cash CDs in my collection.
Well, and this is great, Russ, because and he brings up a great piece of that puzzle. How do you get to share something and then you remember it throughout your whole life? Like my father would, he would play Johnny Cash for sure, but Kenny Rogers, loved Kenny Rogers. And I tell that story about how I had to push the diesel car.
Oh, you did tell me about this.
Yeah. Everyone's heard this story.
Yeah.
Even Frank's heard this story, right? I'm on Route 1. I have to push the car, and then the diesel goes, and I'm stuck out on the highway. But it was, Kenny Rogers was playing that day. We were on our way to hockey, as it turned out.
Well, I go back a little further than that even, Sean and Lorelei. Saturday night for us was listening to Lawrence Welk, and we would watch that all the time. It was, I hate to say this on the radio, it was a black and white TV. There was no color in those days. And we would listen to that music, and it was brought back from my parents, ballroom dancing. But then on Ed Sullivan, I remember the day as if it was yesterday, and Ed Sullivan says, we have a group tonight from London, and they are the Beatles. And they came on, and we went crazy at my house to watch them in person. As a matter of fact, when I graduated from high school, 4 of our guys put on fake Beatles clothing in here and sang I Want to Hold Your Hand at our graduation.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And, Lorelei, in a big piece of the music, right? You like other entertainers as well, right? On just the 20th day of June.
Yeah.
Megan Maroney, right? But when, like Sabrina Carpenter, you like her?
Yeah.
Who else do you like?
I like Taylor Swift. I like Olivia Rodrigo. I like tons of people. I think I like Tate McRae. I like all of them. I think they're all super talented, and they all have something else to portray different stories, and they all have different things they can add to each song. I think it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
It really is amazing when you piece all these things together and how music has a great connection, or at least enough to be able to open the door to a conversation, which is really the biggest piece. And I hope that our listeners can appreciate the fact that you don't have to spend $1,000 to have a conversation with your child.
Which brings me to that famous saying that we use in the fatherhood program. Sean, why did God give you 2 ears and 1 mouth?
I haven't figured that one out yet.
Well, that's why you're on this program. Someday you will understand, as some of the fathers talk, is that if you listen more to to your children and talk less, everybody learns.
So, Barley, we wanted to listen to you. What do you have to say? You like this idea of 2 ears and 1 mouth?
I don't think my dad have learned it yet, but but I think he's trying. So, yeah, I think it's definitely very important, because if you never listen to your kid, they're never gonna want to talk to you.
You hit the nail on the head, Lorelai. That's what we're trying to tell the fathers. Just the way you talk, your voice. Are you talking loud, softly? Are you looking into the eyes of your child when you talk to them? And that is so great for the child to hear their father, and also to listen to their father, and to do the same for the father.
And one of the interesting pieces of that is that there's a reason why children look up. And because you're the mentor, you're the person who can guide them. And by opening these opportunities, really allows your child to grow faster, become a lot more mature, to be able to understand you better. And this all has to do with just having a happy life.
Being able to talk to your children and listen to them is a great accomplishment for any father. I had to learn that, and I think every father has to put some time into that. Listen to them, talk to them, and you don't have to agree with them, but listen to them. And as we do here,
it's a respect thing, right?
Yeah.
So, when you respect your kids, they learn to respect you.
Yeah, you need to earn respect.
That's right. You have to go to hockey.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's right. In our household. So, one of the big pieces of the puzzle is when we'll get to this after the break. We want to share with you maybe some good techniques to be able to open up conversation.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you after the break.
WCRN Radio is thrilled to bring back a legendary voice, and now you can help tell the stories. Paul Harvey captivated millions with his unique style and unmistakable voice. By sponsoring the rest of the story, your brand can become a part of this rich tradition, and it links your business with a program that people love and trust. So don't miss this unique opportunity to grow your business while becoming part of something truly special. For sponsorship details, just go to WCRNradio.com.
Cushman Insurance Group reminds everyone listening this holiday season, highways will be busy with motorists traveling to and from family and friends. So make sure you and your family always have a safe and sober way home. And please never drink and drive. This important reminder is brought to you by the staff at Cushman Insurance Group in Brockton. For all your insurance needs, visit online at cushmaninsure.com and like them on Facebook. That's everyone at Cushman Insurance Group wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas. And our friends at American Legion, Chester P. Tuttle, Post 279, reminds everyone listening, if you or someone you know has had too much to drink, have a sober friend drive or call a cab. Remember, it's not only your own life you may be saving, but also lives of others. So please, never drink and drive. This safe driving reminder is brought to you by everyone at American Legion, Chester P. Tuttle, Post 279, located in Auburn. To learn more, visit online at www.cptpost279.net. That's everyone at American Legion, Chester P. Tuttle, Post 279, wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas.
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8441.
Now, Datterday Radio continues with Sean Burke and Frank Oddie, live and local radio from the center of New England, the center of the dial, and the center of information radio, Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
We're here with Datterday Radio. And if you have any interest in calling in, we're at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. We'd love to hear from you or consider it for in the future. It's very important, the things that we're talking about. It's really the base or the foundation to relationships and within the inner circle called the family. And one of the things I really think over time, as Lorelei started the show out to talk about different generations and how we may look at parenting and how we may look at relationships. And one of the things is the world's really changed, right? From, like as Frank's talked about earlier, what his parents and how they viewed things, from ballroom dancing to, the Beatles during his time. With me, I guess it was, Kiss and Ozzy Osbourne. Right. And then, like Lorelei with, the Megan Maroney's and Sabrina Carpenter's and that specific group where country music has made it to Boston. And it's very interesting when you piece all these things together on how we all view the world, but we all live in the same world, but we all see it a little different. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, Lorelei, what do you think is maybe the difference from your perspective?
I think one big one is that we all have cell phones. I think that's something that they didn't have back then, and that's something that has been very normalized now. And yeah, I think.
So your whole life,
yeah,
right? You were born in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole life has been driven around social media pressures,
mm-hmm. Right?
Which include the phones to computers, mm-hmm. right? So Frank didn't have that. For me, I'm from a family of 5. We would have, how long the cord was for the telephone, which was on the wall, was how much privacy you could have. We had the longest cord with 5 kids, and we would go all the way across the kitchen, and you'd be in in the closet or in one of the bedrooms by the kitchen, just to be able to talk to a girlfriend.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Wait a second, Lorelei didn't know I had girlfriends before I got married.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I searched the whole
Sensitive
world.
Topic.
I did search the whole world for a good girlfriend. Mm. And then I couldn't believe it. I found this woman in Chumsted, Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right in my own backyard, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we got married, and she is fortunate enough to have such a great husband, I guess.
Yeah. And then you're even more fortunate to have the best daughter.
Yes, the best daughter. But
I was hoping
yes.
we would get to that, Lorelei, before he interrupted and said, which ones do you like the most, Dad? Of course, it's the daughter. They always they have the fathers wrapped around that little finger, and it works.
I get that one. Lorelei's definitely in that category.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. So when we look at all of these things in social media, one of the things that I would recommend from doing Datterday, having many conversations between fatherhood, being able to see people interact, learn how they interact. When I was teaching at Boston College, this was a big topic in Latin America, relationships, the building of relationships, and how they would build them in Latin America, and family was so important. I always admired that fact when I did documentaries down there, to be able to get a good feel for, hey, how do people tick throughout the world? And one of the main things that I think I've learned over this time is you got to put the cell phone down. You have to, as Frank said earlier, you have to get down eye level with your child and have a conversation.
I couldn't agree more with that. I respect very much Lorelei when she talks about the phone, and I've learned, how to use it myself. Whenever I can't work with my phone, my daughter says, "Dad, push this button, do this. It works just great." So I'm still learning, but I remember growing up in 1958. That's goes back a couple of years.
Whoa.
Found out that Carol,
Get the cane out.
Yep. Carol, who lived next door, had something that nobody in the neighborhood had seen before. It was a transistor radio, and it was operated by batteries. We went to see her. She was my best friend for at least 6 months, and she would have music that we liked, and we would just sit there and listen to it. So the way we felt about that transistor radio is how I feel that Lorelei talks about her friends, and they, listen to each other by calling each other on a regular basis. Connections are what I talk about in fatherhood all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know that helps you to be yourself. Having good friends, having responsible adults that you can work with, or peers that you can support, will support you, is a very important part of fatherhood, and being a father as well as being a daughter.
So one of the big things in the 21st century is mental health awareness. Mental health awareness really can bolster a relationship with your kid for many reasons. When I was a kid, people would typically ignore mental health situations, right? And kind of push the person aside. It was just a lot less driven around it. In fact, it may have been considered a negative. But since the world, or at least in America, we've decided to embrace mental health, we really have seen some great changes, like in the courts. A lot of my social work business is really driven around mental health awareness and understanding how people are viewing the world. And this is why it's so different when you look at, what a kid might be doing versus in how they're viewing it, based on maybe there's some mental health issues because of the stresses that are going on.
I think also a very important conversation to have is about the child's mental health. Like, in talking about that can be a really hard conversation, but is a really important conversation.
I think so too. And being the parent, you have to lead, right? So you have to get into these uncomfortable conversations sometimes, but they're worth it. And your child really wants to talk about the things, even if they say that they don't. They want to be able to know that they can have that conversation with you. And this is where opening conversations from music to mental health to, addictive things like gaming and different things that we see, just in every household, to be able to address these issues, you really need to be able to have the conversation. And you have to build that up through some form of a foundation.
The word foundation is a very important word in the fatherhood program. We try week after week for that 12-week program to talk about how can you be a responsible father if you're not talking to the mother? How can you be a responsible father if you're not having conversations with your children? How can you be a responsible father if you're not part of your community, part of your church, part of your neighborhood? That's what fathers need to invest in and get involved in. And when that happens, it's a win-win situation for you and all those contacts that you make. So being a father is a great, great responsibility. Being a mother is a great, great responsibility. And being a child is just so exciting. And fathers and mothers can help that child to blossom, to become a person. And that is a lot what we say in fatherhood. Help your children be themselves.
And I do think that's a big piece of it. I mean, Lorelei, when you talk to your friends, how do they view, this investment, this franchise?
I think I go to a boarding school, so a lot of the kids, their home lives are very different. And some of them, they have really good relationships with their mom, but they do not have a good relationship with their dad. Like, some of them, they don't have a father figure in their life. Their father left them, or they just aren't responsible enough to be able to take care of them. So I think that's what gave me a different perspective on that kind of.
Well, it's a view of the world, for
Yeah.
sure, right?
Mhm.
Like, not everyone is in what we call traditional relationship, where the two parents are in the same household, and that's traditional. And non-traditional is, when, the kids might live with one parent or the other. Right? But we always say at Dad Day, the two-parent perspective is very important. If the child lives obviously in a traditional setting, then that's probably not as much of an issue, right? Because everyone's in the same household. But in a non-traditional setting, when the kids live with one parent probably more often than the other, or completely 100% live with the other child, we really have to take into account that the primary person, the one who's caring for those kids, needs to be open to the two-parent perspective, needs to welcome that person in. It's a buy-in. It's like anything in life. If you want to be married, you have to buy in, right? Because if you don't, it's not going to work out. If you want to be a parent, you got to buy in. If not, time will pass you by, and your kids are going to remember if you're proud of that.
But I agree with both of you so much. We need to educate our fathers, educate our mothers, educate our children that they are all part of a family, and that there's responsibilities for all three. Learn to trust one another is a real big one. We're going to talk about these things in weeks to come. We're so happy to be able to talk to them this morning with you. Our first full 1 hour program. And just to be here is fantastic. So I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker today, Lorelei. Just wrap up what you think was going on today for our listeners to be able to hear.
I think that we definitely covered a lot of things today. I think definitely just spending time with your children is such an important thing in talking about things, and doing things together is super important. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
See you next week, guys.
On live and local radio from the center of New England, the center of the dial, and the center of information radio, Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
Fox News, I'm Angelo Bavaro. Thousands of people gathering at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia for a vigil Sunday night, 1 week after 15 people were shot and killed at a Hanukkah event. New South Wales Premier Chris Minnis.
We grieve with you, and with humility, I acknowledge that the government's highest duty is to protect its citizens, and we did not do that 1 week ago.
The father and son accused in that attack reportedly pledged allegiance to ISIS. 9 people are dead and at least 10 others injured after gunmen opened fire at a pub in South Africa. Police say that shooting happened just before 1 a.m. in a town west of Johannesburg. About a dozen suspects arrived in vehicles, fired on patrons, and then continued shooting as they fled. A manhunt is now underway. America is listening to Fox News.